Mike, I know you're not a big golf fan, but something happened in the world of golf this weekend that reminded me of one of your favorite internet viral videos, which was Patrick Reed did a IRL, I want to shake your hand, to Rory McIlroy. Didn't get the handshake and then threw a LIV golf tee at him.
Yeah.
And it became a scandal. And then more...
Such a golf fight.
Exactly. More scandal ensued in his round on Sunday where he hit a ball into a tree and then claimed that it hit a different tree, didn't have to tee off.
Yeah.
And then
he was
got
lying.
a stroke, basically.
He was lying. I've seen a Zapruder film
Allegedly.
breakdown. No, he was lying.
So he's very lawsuit.
Could have been mistaking.
Yeah.
Could have been, but conveniently,
Very lawsuit
he said,
happy, so be careful
He
there.
said his ball went into the furthest possible tree, and it actually went to the nearest possible tree. NBC Golf Channel did a whole still-by-still breakdown of it.
Well, Brandon Chambly, or whatever his name, Brandel Chambly.
You want to help her out?
He's currently being sued by Patrick
got
Reed
it.
for defamation. So
Okay.
be careful.
Oh,
That's all
I
I'm
didn't know
saying.
that. So it
Allegedly,
appears from
yeah.
the video evidence that it went to the nearest tree, not the furthest tree, like he claimed.
We've all had that argument on the golf course. Like, no, I was at that tree. I can hit it further than you think.
No, every
That's
time
where it went out.
every time I lose a ball, I genuinely ask, "Did you check the hole?" It's in the
Oh,
event.
It's a dumb golf
Oh, it's
joke.
funny.
That's a
yes,
great one.
yes.
Yeah.
And I
And
laugh
I
at it
say-
every time.
I
Yes.
say half kidding sometimes because I tracking balls after I hit it, considering my swing, I have no idea.
It was crazy, though. So they did a whole Zapruder thing on Golf Network. It was pretty cool. They were able to zoom in, and it's so teeny tiny you can barely see it, but it disappears right at the first tree, and it seems fairly impossible that it could have then traveled all the way to the third tree and gotten stuck in there. But, you know, who knows? But I
Cart
thought
path
it was...
bounce.
I thought
I
it was
love
very
a bounce
well
on the
done.
cart path.
It was
Oh,
compelling
it's
to me.
great.
Honestly, that clip was better than the NFC Championship game.
I mean, not saying much, but Patrick Reed has become a big time villain. Is he leaning into it now with the LIV golf thing?
I think it comes naturally to Patrick Reed.
Shirt.
Yeah.
He threw a shirt.
Right.
He throws a shirt.
Well, he
Patrick
also-
Reed.
he-
I mean, he throws tees.
I saw Rory won. By the way.
He subpoenaed Rory on Christmas Eve. And Rory was like, I just didn't really want to shake his hand after that. And I don't think this should be a big deal. And then Patrick Reed was like, he needs to grow up and be an adult. And I'm like, well, actually, I feel like you're the one that threw the tee, right?
Yeah.
So maybe that was
Petulant.
hot kettle situation.
I like that the Torrey Pines competition, they're just avoiding going up against AFC and NFC Championship. Their final round was Saturday. Hey, that John Rahm was on a bit of a heater, Stugotz. This is me trying to connect with you, man.
He's great. I mean, he's one of the best golfers in the world. It's so weird how this happens because now Brandel Chambly, that video is coming up
Such
on
a
my
golf
Twitter.
name.
I know it is.
So these were
What?
two,
What's the
there's
golfiest
too
golf
many E's
name?
and L's.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So
Right.
it was
Put
a
an
little
N
confusing
in
because
there.
there were
Sandy
two,
Lyle.
There were two different golf tournaments going on the same weekend, right?
There was the
Stugotz?
Hero Classic in Dubai, and then Torrey Pines.
Yeah.
Max Homa actually won, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Stugotz.
he's playing well. Yeah, we're
Right.
hoping to do some stuff with Homa next week during Super Bowl week. So
He went on a heater late in the tournament, right?
Mhm.
I saw a headline about it.
Yeah.
Again, I'm trying to connect with you, Stugotz.
trying.
Like golf stuff.
Right.
I know it interests you.
It does. I'm looking at this video now. It definitely went to the short tree.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no question about it.
If he had to play it at that tree, there's a bunch of Pro V1s in those trees. Apparently, this happens at this course quite a bit.
Yeah,
That's what
So-
the pros use.
It's what the pros use.
yeah.
So he just pointed to a Pro V up there and said, "That's mine," on the furthest tree, and that's an easier lie for him, and it allowed him to make a run at that Dubai tournament, one that Rory won. So he's got the banner advantage over him.
I'd love to see some events. I'd love to see more LIV versus PGA. I would.
It's a built-in rivalry.
Why
you
not
see?
sink into it if you're the PGA Tour? Why not sink into it? You need something like that.
Because they're being sued. They
Yeah.
don't want to
I know, but
do
I mean,
We haven't been able to discuss it on this show, but what do you think of the LIV Tour television deal with the CW?
it feels cheap. It feels like it doesn't feel professional to me. It feels like they just settled for anyone who was like, "Yeah, we'll take your product." It's the CW.
I read the press
Like
release.
it feels cheap, doesn't it?
I read the press release. It was a surprise.
What, did they got a TV deal? Or that it was CW?
That was a little surprised that the CW in its present form is still in its present form. I thought that there was
Fox
talk.
would take it on.
There was talk that CW might cease to exist, but I learned in the press release that the CW has an app.
Yeah, and it has like less distribution than YouTube, which I think was the head scratcher because YouTube reaches everyone who goes on YouTube.
Right, but the YouTube metrics for LIV
We're not very good.
Haven't been good. At least here in the United States, it is getting younger, but the fan base for golf, they're not necessarily going to YouTube to watch their
They
golf
also don't watch
coverage.
the CW either, though.
Right.
I mean, I imagine some of the golf audience has a broadcast antenna. So, like,
Is Arlo going to be promoting Riverdale?
that would be great.
But they have a better chance of getting to the CW than they do to YouTube, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Well, they
honestly,
love YouTube.
it's not even.
No,
it's,
but we
it's
left-
not even the CW.
Oh,
it's
right.
channel 39.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
bad.
It's scrolling through the guide and seeing LIV Golf on the guide. That's really all they were going for.
But
with
the
this
older
deal.
portion of the demographic, well, they might stumble into it on the CW. Like when we left ESPN and we started doing stuff on YouTube, my dad asked me, "Do I get YouTube?"
Stop it. He'd said that.
Yeah, he did. No, seriously. And I'm like, Dad, everyone gets YouTube. He wouldn't know where to find the CW, but he might stumble into it.
Right. He might be, on a Sunday flicking through the channels.
Right.
I don't know if people flick through the channels anymore.
But you don't think 70-year-olds
I
flick
love
through the
a good
channels?
Flick. Yeah.
Like we're like
Hubba
that,
hubba.
like that's the target demo.
I
Is
guess.
people who would flick through channels.
Is it embarrassing?
Is it really?
Like the CW, I don't think the CW gave a Godfather offer. If they could have been elsewhere, they would have been.
No, it's for no money.
Yeah.
It's for no money and a revenue split. That's what that's what they got because Fox was asking for money, like a time buy.
Mhm.
That's what they were asking for, and this I guess LIV was like, no, we don't want to buy the time
Yeah.
because that looks even worse.
So a rev share is better?
Right, a rev share on a channel that nobody watches is better, I suppose. But I asked Samson about this on our Sports Business Pod on Friday, and I asked him sort of to like use the comparison of not putting naming rights on Marlins Park until they got their price, and he agreed with me. He's like, this completely cheapens that product, right? Like now, because this is a 2-year deal. In 2 years' time, is LIV Golf going to be attractive enough to command a rights fee?
2 years' time, is the CW going to be around? There's all sorts of
Yeah.
mystery surrounding
What
that
does
network.
CW stand for?
Uh,
Chris Whittingham?
something Warner? Because it used to be the WB, and then it rebranded as the CW. That's a good
I've
question,
always
Jess. I've
wondered.
never
Great question.
never thought about that.
Someone's name?
The network is derived from the first letters of the names of its two founding co-owners, the CBS Corporation and Warner Brothers.
Oh, that makes sense.
Hmm.
I thought Chris
But,
Whittingham was too.
neither of those companies own. Well, okay, according to Wiki, they own a minor percentage. Nexstar Media Group owns the majority.
When I think of
Of the
CW, I
CW.
think of reruns of Supernatural. That was
Yeah.
like the longest running show, I think, in CW history, right? With
I mean,
Dean
honestly,
from
like
Gilmore Girls.
when I think of CW, I think of like syndication court shows because that's what airs on that channel. That's like the channel where you found Jerry Springer most often.
Did you just say that the dinosaur in Rugrats was the main owner of this? What was it? Who's the main owner?
Yeah.
Nexstar.
Oh, Nexstar.
Yeah,
I
Nexstar
said
Media Group.
Reptar.
No.
Just wanted to get that joke.
Good to have you back.
You went a long way for it. I mean, does LIV appear like it needs money though? I don't think it's exposure.
It needs
for them.
exposure to grow it.
No, but doesn't.
I don't think the money is the point.
No, they do
It's
need
the exposure.
they do need to. Well,
need a TV
They
partner.
don't have to do anything, but I would presume that the Saudis, if they're just losing billions of dollars a year, they could very easily invest in something where they would at least break even or make billions of dollars a year, couldn't they? Like,
I mean, there's seed money, and you know
If
that
they-
you're going to take losses on
if
any
they-
kind of new enterprise. But
if they actually bought WWE, which that rumor was debunked, but if they did, that at least is an enterprise that we know has revenue-making capacities
and already has TV
sells-
deals in place.
Yeah, has established media power. Like, that's the benefit in buying something that already had. Like, they've
Yeah,
tried
because
to
you got the
create something,
distribution already.
and like where is their source? They're paying shed loads of
I
money.
don't
thought
know
it was
if they
gonna
want
be
to
a
make
lot
money. I
easier.
think they want legitimacy more than like.
But
a
could-
profit.
They're not going to get it from the CW.
Well,
Right.
they're not going to get legitimacy.
But they couldn't get on
legitimacy
Fox,
from the way
so-
this operation is running. Like
They should have paid Fox. Is
this-
what they should have done. I mean, they should have
probably.
I think so.
a rights fee.
Yeah.
But like they're not getting legitimacy from the way that they've gone about this.
No.
All they've done so far is break golf, which is cool, but that's like that's not the sort of legitimacy I think that they're after. Like they host the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix of Formula One. That's a big event where like you basically can't ignore Saudi Arabia for a weekend because if you like this sport, if you like these drivers, you're watching a race. But I can very easily ignore LIV Golf.
Yeah.
Because their
Have
event
been.
like their
Successfully.
their events do nothing for me. Their events are not interesting. Why would I watch it?
The interface seems like a mess. I hopped on the YouTube stream once just to see what the presentation was like, and there were 215 people on the live stream with me at the time that I checked in, which is not great, Bob. Right? when our KFC NFC Championship watch party is outpacing LIV Golf by a country mile, that ain't a good sign.
Do you guys regret not picking the Chiefs Bengals game for the watch party?
No.
got
No.
home early?
I wanted to
No.
watch it at home by
Yeah,
yourself.
Yeah.
I was home by 7. I appreciated that.
Yeah.
You
Fair
had no,
enough.
I mean, you had no way of knowing Purdy would get hurt, and you'd be, doing a watch party for Josh Johnson.
But we picked the
And then
earlier
Brock
game
Purdy.
on purpose.
We picked the earlier game, yeah,
Right.
because we wanted to go right into the teeth of the Miami Marathon traffic. That was
And it's not like the Niners were 12.5-point underdogs. They were 2.5-point underdogs. Like that.
no, that game fell
very-
apart because of the injuries.
Yeah.
It happens, but thankfully
Bummer.
we were very entertaining, if I do say so myself, for the audience that decided to stay and watch with us.
Why were you eating with tiny hands?
Because the game was bad and we had to do something. Also, I think tiny hands are funny.
I agree.
The tiny
Haven't
hands,
lost their charm for me.
yep, always fun.
Should I go grab them now? You just do the rest of the show with the tiny hands on.
I heard Billy say no. I heard Billy grumble, so he's not in on it. No, we won't do it.
But every team is wheezing to the finish line, though, of these playoffs. The Eagles are the only team, by virtue of the fact that they had the bye week, that are not overwhelmed
Yeah,
by
they were,
injuries.
and they were really banged up, and they've just gotten healthy now.
It's just like it was wild to me watching the end of the Bengals-Chiefs game where Romo was correctly pointing out all the Chiefs have to do is stop Higgins and stop Chase, and the Bengals don't appear to have and they double team them on most plays.
Yeah.
And once Boyd got hurt, then you saw Joe Burrow struggled for most of that game.
He
Like,
did.
yeah, he had a
had
really
no
good
time,
he
though.
had a good second quarter.
Put together a couple
and-
of great drives, but for the most part, between the offensive line capitulating and
It was mainly that, I thought. Like,
It was
then
that-
him playing, like
No,
Jalen
okay,
Hurts. We
but-
want to talk about guys
it-
playing
it-
poorly.
but what-
Jalen Hurts didn't play well.
But if you watch the sacks, there was some time to throw.
Yeah.
Yes,
He does hold on to the ball.
That poor right guard number 74 was getting destroyed. But
Chris Jones will do that.
right,
Chris
but
Jones doesn't get talked about nearly
that's
enough.
Really
a,
good.
That's a great point. Like,
Yeah,
and
he's just
and
like a Hall of Fame player.
to be fair to Romo, he was on top of that. Like every snap, he was pointing out where Chris Jones was, and it was worth pointing out because he was a menace even when he was playing at defensive end.
Yeah.
And just kept destroying those poor backup offensive linemen. But in the first half, those sacks, I can go back and watch the all 22, but it didn't seem like there were open receivers on those plays, and Burrow just had to eat them.
Well, one of the problems was Tyler Boyd got injured early, and if you saw, Tyler Boyd was eating early on, and they had the injury to Dean, and it just would have meant even more output from Tyler Boyd. That was a huge injury that Cincinnati sustained early on because
They were doubling the two.
Yeah.
Excuse me. The
That's a
two
fine, you
main
coughed
wide
directly.
receivers. I don't care. Here's $5.
You're fine.
They were double teaming the two wide receivers, Chase and Higgins, and Boyd was wide open
Yeah.
in the middle of the field the entire first quarter.
Well, you saw
first
on that,
half,
what was
really.
it, a 3rd and 16? People
Yeah.
were wondering, how is Aiden Hurst uncovered? It's because they're doubling Higgins and they're doubling Chase. Boyd would have been in line for a big one, but let's talk about the elephant in the room when it comes to that game because Cincinnati Bengals fans are up in arms about the officiating in
bad.
this game, and it was
bad
it
in both.
that
It was bad in both games, I thought.
But
Which call specifically are we talking about?
the Missouri Mulligan
But-
that ended
no,
up
but
not mattering.
Yeah, it didn't
but
matter.
It didn't matter, and also
And
it was
also-
the
it-
right call. They just didn't hear him blow the whistle, right? They started,
I've never seen a call like that
Where nobody
where
knew that there
everyone
was a
thought a
whistle.
play was run. Both teams were playing max effort, both teams, and then the refs just decided, hey,
But
we're
they
going to play.
show that zoomed out thing, and that
I
guy
know.
clearly
He was
ran in.
45 yards.
But it doesn't matter if he
But
ran
then
in.
why
He ran
didn't-
in.
Then why did no other referee
'Cause
stop
it's
it?
loud.
Okay, they didn't
it's
see
loud,
him
and
running
he's gotta,
in?
like wave R, and you can tell by
It's
the
gotta
end
be
he
a
was.
group
Why did he
effort.
stop?
Yeah.
So you're
Why
saying
did
being
he stop that
sheepish.
play? Why did he stop that play? What was the reason?
The clock.
So the clock was running after an incomplete pass.
after
I think.
second down.
Yeah, after
and
second
they needed
down.
to reset the clock
They
and put it at the
reset
right
it.
time.
They put it at 10 seconds, and then they were going to start it on the whistle, right?
No, but
they did.
The clock was still running.
What do you mean the clock
game
was still
the
running?
game clock was still running before. Like it shouldn't have been running, and they had
So
to stop
one
it.
guy out of 4 officials was the
That's
only
his
one that
jo-
noticed.
that's his job.
Yeah.
Like everyone in pre-snap has responsibilities. His job in that moment is to look at the clock and be like, "This isn't right. We got to stop this."
I think
what-
ultimately
what-
it didn't matter, though.
It didn't matter. They punted it. Like they got a first down on a penalty, which was annoying. Maybe it took the Bengals sort of out of their mental state because they were in a good moment. They got a 3-and-out off the Chiefs, but like it didn't affect the game. Just as, by the way, if you're complaining about the officiating on the unnecessary roughness on Mahomes, that was also a correct decision.
yeah,
Oh,
I thought
easy.
so too.
Easy. That's a, like, yes, the call decides the game, but it's the correct call. And I see people
And he
arguing.
ran for the first down anyways.
People arguing.
Yeah,
on
but
behalf-
Mike, they can't kick the field goal from that.
they,
spot.
No, I
would
understand.
have. They would have
I
needed.
understand Patrick Mahomes.
They would have needed another play.
Yeah.
But I understand that you don't want a game decided on the call, and people going, "Oh, you should recognize the moment." And like, no. When a quarterback gets shoved out of bounds, he has 2 full feet.
2 full feet out.
like out of bounds. Like that's the correct decision.
It was
so
a boneheaded play.
I just think it's such a loser's lament. To
I thought
complain
that they
about
got
officials.
they got a favorable call on a Pacheco touchdown run. I thought
You've
they called
never
a
done
holding.
it.
No, I don't. I don't complain about officiating when my team loses. I don't. And like
Have you ever had Anthony Taylor cost Man City game? There's been some bad
You
ones.
watched
mean,
the Lakers
The
game this
UM
weekend?
National Championship,
Dude,
you weren't complaining?
LeBron had
I mean,
every right to be that. Well, maybe not every right to be that,
That was
furious.
crazy.
That's the angriest I've ever
Yes,
seen him
it
on
was
the court.
I was like, this is gonna be a meme.
Would
I'm
he-
going on Twitter right now.
would he answer that question? The UM game, National Championship, Ohio State, you weren't complaining?
well, to be fair, I
was
wasn't
too
really
young.
that invested in the Hurricanes when I was 9. I perhaps should have been. I should have been more, but
Not a lifer, I guess.
My
Right.
Hurricanes investment started when I went to the school, really, and so no, I mean, and honestly, I go back and rewatch it now. Correct decision.
No.
Get out of
It was.
here.
It was
he,
an
does, he
interference.
does this thing.
It was.
I hated
It
that you asked him about that because it's not.
It was the correct
No, it
decision. Go
wasn't.
back and
Everyone
rewatch.
complains
Go
about
back
it.
and rewatch it.
I'm not even entertaining this with
To
you.
Whitty's point, though, it stinks that that's the narrative when the
Awful
difference in
call.
that game, like Mahomes, that touchdown throw to Kelsey, like where
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a corner route and he's just being brilliant and
The two
throwing
of
him
them are
open.
being brilliant.
That's what I mean. Like their chemistry, like that's the difference in the game. Because like it's
And
such a
Mahomes-
close game.
Mahomes was able to do all of it on one foot. He looked like he was in so much pain on that last drive, and still everyone I was watching the game with was like, they're gonna kick a field goal and win. He's gonna it's gonna be fine. He's Patrick Mahomes. That's insane.
Yeah.
We saw the moment, I think, on his face when it was like, oh boy, the drugs are wearing off.
Yeah.
Like it was that one play where
When
he
he
was
had to roll to the
yeah,
left.
when he
Across his body.
rolled
Yes.
to his left, and I saw on his face, oh, these drugs are not
Yeah.
working anymore.
I was
Shit.
wincing every time I saw him like step forward into the pocket. I was like, oh no,
Yeah.
just throw it away.
He's
Don't
got a
run.
very
Don't
he's
do
got a
it.
very quick limp.
Yeah.
Like when he's getting back to the huddle, like he limps athletically.
You know what I was hoping for in that game, and we didn't get it because the Bengals shoved Patrick Mahomes when he was out of bounds. But there was a scenario there in which Patrick Mahomes throws the ball 25 yards down the field and has to sprint against the clock to clock the ball
To spike
on
it.
on a hobbled leg. And I thought that was what was shaping up. I don't think that that crew was very good. I think that.
But
just
that was
they
the
didn't
right call. I mean, his reaction
No,
will
that-
tell you that's the right call.
that-
like he
that-
knew he messed up.
that we are
Right.
not. We are flatly not having the discussion on this show that was a bad call. He was pushed out of bounds. That was unnecessary roughness. That's textbook.
It's
But I'm
15
saying
yards every time
The course
for
of the
them.
game, that officiating crew did display several times like a weird control of that game. A
it was
lack of control.
operationally, they couldn't get plays off.
No.
They couldn't keep the game moving normally. And I don't know if they still do this, but don't they do this thing where at the end of the year they don't keep officiating crews together? They're like basically the best field judge with the best umpire with the best line judge. And I feel like the lack of continuity from guys working together all year is what shows in these big playoff games. I understand their desire to have the best of everyone out there, but it would seem to me better to rate the crews as a whole and keep them together over the course of the playoffs, because you see disjointed games during the playoffs. You're trying new combinations of people together during the playoffs, and that seems bizarre.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm gonna put out a take, and I really have to couch this because I can already tell that Cincinnati's gonna hate it. And let me just say on the front end, I've apologized. I thought that they were lucky to get to the Super Bowl last year. Maybe they were a year ahead of schedule, but they won 10 straight games this year. I think very clearly the second best team in the AFC. All right?
Debatable, but yeah.
I think they went to Buffalo. What more do you want?
I think if the Chargers beat Jacksonville, I think the Chargers are in the Super Bowl today. How about that for a take? Seriously.
I think if Lamar Jackson plays against Cincinnati, maybe Cincinnati doesn't survive.
Okay.
Here's the point.
I said that last night.
Here's the point that I'm trying to make. Cincinnati was very vocal on Twitter about how unfair that game was officiated. I think throughout this 2-year run that Cincinnati had, they've actually been quite fortunate. They've been a very lucky team. That very same officiating crew, head official being Ron Torbert, they were on that Chiefs game last year. That ended up punching the Bengals ticket to the postseason and winning them that division. You have the phantom whistle against the Raiders. You have Ryan Tannehill having a terrible game, and a game in which, credit to the Bengals, they survived 9 Joe Burrow sacks, and they find a way to get through. Andy Reid forgets to run the ball in the last year's AFC Championship. They come within a 0.2 of a second to even win in the Super Bowl because Aaron Donald closes out on Joe Burrow. Great team, but they've been lucky. You had the fumble against the Ravens. That was a fumble 6. And even in this game, I'm not giving any luck to them on the Bills game. They were just way better. But in this game, that Patrick Mahomes fumble, just because he's clumsy because his ankle is hurt, that was, when I saw that, I'm like,
because it was 5 degrees.
This team is
that was
just
not about the ankle, Mike. I mean,
It was uncharacteristic.
It was
I don't think
uncharacteristic. It
you'd
was,
see
definitely.
him making
It
that.
was shocking.
He did it last weekend after he got hurt.
It was
too.
shocking.
It was a very similar type play.
it stands to reason that he's a bit more clumsy because of all the tape that he has on his ankle and that he's dealing with that injury. But I think they've been undeniably, uncharacteristically lucky, and you needed a little bit more. And because you didn't get it that one time, you're up in arms. I don't get it. Like, Kansas City did that with an injured Kelsey, an injured Patrick Mahomes. Within the game, they were down to like 3 receivers at one point.
Yeah, they've just had Valdez-Scantling, essentially.
Hardman, Juju, and Tony were all out.
All out.
Yeah.
All out.
I mean, the Chiefs are wheezing to the finish line. The 2 weeks will hopefully get them back to full fitness, and they'll be able to look like themselves in the Super Bowl. But that was not a good Chiefs team, and yet. And to your point, I had Bengals plus 1.5.
Mm-hmm.
I would have felt like I got away with one if that hit. Just on the basis of how that game went. Just watching Joe Burrow be under such duress for most of that game. It like every completion felt like, whew, like wow, they got a completion there. It didn't feel like that offense was rolling. I would have felt like I got away with that one if the Bengals had won that game.
But 2020, weren't you expecting Burrow to finish that off? Because
he had 2 chances to finish that off.
I know.
And one resulted
I was surprised
in
he didn't. Yes.
And the other, was undone again by offensive line stuff.
Yeah, but penalties, which were I'm sure Bengals fans will hop in my mentions. I just think it was clear from that game, when you consider the injury situation that Kansas City was, that I think the better team won that game, and it was a deserved AFC championship.
I don't even know. On the day, I think the Chiefs were better, but these 4 games, everyone talked about the Bengals have won their last 3 against the Chiefs. Every single one of these games has been decided by 3 points.
Yeah, the Chiefs led those in the fourth quarter every single time.
Right. I mean, it's a great match. Like Jess just said, it's a great matchup between 2 great teams.
I love watching them play.
And Cincinnati is here to stay. They're a great team, and Joe Burrow is awesome. I just thought yesterday the game wasn't decided by the officials. And also, I don't like when bulletin board material takes over the post game, when we can't just have a conversation about the Chiefs. It's about what the mayor said. What the mayor said.
I hate that.
I am begging one elected official in this country to just be normal. Just be goddamn normal for 5 minutes. Enough with this Burrow head.
It wasn't just the elected officials, though. I do think that there was a lot of talk. This person sitting right next to me was saying that Burrow is the best quarterback in the league.
I still believe that. I do.
Dude. Why are you trying to take something away from Patrick Mahomes? I think it's very evident over the last few years that Patrick Mahomes is the best talent, is the most unstoppable player at that position. Joe Burrow is awesome. He could be second best. That's not an insult. But to call a stadium Burrowhead and refer to it and be all sorts of cocky when you've been quite fortunate in these games against the Chiefs, by the way. I mentioned the Week 17 where Torbert was on one, the Kelsey fumble in this regular season matchup, the disastrous play calling in the AFC Championship. I think you kind of been lulled into this confidence, and it drips from your quarterback. I get it, but you're not as good as Patrick Mahomes. He's just a demigod.
Right, and
it's not insulting.
Mike, they've beaten them 3 out of the last 4 times.
Yeah, but
I
told
mean,
you,
don't
they're
forget
making
by 3
that.
points.
But it's
By
been
3 points.
But they still won the
circumstances.
game.
I agree, because Cincinnati's great. They're an
Fantastic
amazing
team.
football team.
Joe Burrow might be the second best player
they're
in
not
the
that
NFL.
good. Get an offensive line.
But Kansas City, I do think Mahomes is going
Almost
to
lost
enter
to the
this
Ravens.
territory because of how long and how sustainably he's going to do this. That we're going to have to entertain ourselves with something other than Mahomes is the best. Because if I came on here and looked in the camera and said, I think Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in football, would anyone look at me with anything other than a yawn?
Not a hot- well, I mean,
it's not a
Nick
hot
Wright-
take. It's
Well,
not
now
interesting.
Now you guys get why he's saying Joe Burrow is the best.
Yeah.
There you
Right,
go.
exactly.
Thank you,
Right.
Billy.
It's
Catching up,
interesting.
right.
It's something to
I
say.
think Nick Wright has carved out a hell of a lane for stating the obvious, which is just LeBron is amazing and Patrick Mahomes is amazing, and these are the two best players. He finds a way to get that kind of traction that you're saying isn't available to those positions.
I'm arriving at a place where Jalen Hurts might be the best quarterback in football. I mean, I'm not going to give it to
Wait.
Patrick Mahomes. It's too easy of a take. That's it.
You've been talking shit about Jalen Hurts
Yeah.
for
I
21
know.
weeks.
I know.
Yeah.
But here we
Stu,
are.
that's fine.
He's arriving.
Don't get in my turf, Stu.
Guys,
But
he's
here we
not
are.
there. He's
Stay
arriving.
Can I jump on?
We'll see how the game
Come on,
goes.
Tone.
I don't know, Stu. You've been
Please.
talking a lot
Don't
of shit
listen
about
to him.
Jalen Hurts.
Don't listen to
That's
him.
my
I'd
that's my
love to
turf.
jump
That's not
on.
his thing. He's a Jaguars guy.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
he can't be a Jaguars guy
No,
and
no,
an
no,
Eagles
Billy.
guy.
I was
like,
an
enough
Eagles
of
guy
this.
before I was a Jaguars guy. I was a
I mean-
Jalen
Is
Hurts
that
guy
true?
last
So
year.
Can we
so-
look back at your note cards and
Oh,
check that?
hold on a
check the tape?
second. So
can, actually.
next year, then you will not be a Jags guy because you will be an Eagles guy.
No. I'm a Jalen Hurts guy.
He is.
First and foremost.
He has it.
Yeah, he's
Right.
always been.
Yeah.
I've always been.
Yeah.
Particularly as it relates to because that was a big conversation before.
That was the
season.
genesis of the take was
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts is better than Tua. Last year.
Wait, we've managed to piss off a fan base in each round of the playoffs. We did it to San Francisco last
I
round,
might have just done it to Cincinnati, even though I was trying to not take anything away from them. Great team.
but Billy did it to Buffalo
I
in the
did
first
not.
round. Well, you did.
He was forced, by the
Right.
way.
That's
He was.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to figure out which fan base we should try to piss off this round.
I mean,
And what
Does
we
it have
need to
to be the
say to
Chiefs?
piss them
Not
off.
the
Does it have to be
Eagles.
the Chiefs or the
Please.
Eagles?
I was
Well,
not
Mike
the
already
kindest to
started
Philly
with-
in the local hour.
Mike already
I just
started
don't like
with
Philly.
Eagles fans in
I-
Philadelphia. I think they're
They should
lovely
be offended.
people. I think it's a
love-
great
I
city.
love
No,
Philly.
I think they would be offended by that. I
Yeah.
think they want you
They'd
to
be
tell
more
them how
offended
crazy
by
they
Billy's
are.
take.
Yeah, I think they want people to be like, these people are insane, and that's what makes them happy.
I think
That's what
they're
they go
good
for.
people.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like
You be
Sirianni
careful.
being a better coach than Andy Reid. Would that
Sirianni?
piss
Sirianni
Sirianni,
Pepper,
whatever
my
his
favorite.
name is,
Put
would that
insults
piss
all the
anyone
time.
else off? Would that piss a fan base off? Would Kansas City be upset?
Can I track back? Because you just called not too long ago Jalen Hurts the best quarterback in this Super Bowl.
No, he said he's arriving
I'm
there.
trying to get there, but
He hasn't
Tony's
quite yet.
been there for a
Yeah.
while, so I don't know.
Why are you so dead set? You've done this the last 2 weeks. on
Billy
being-
explained it to you.
on being anti-Patrick Mahomes. So much so that you will eschew your previous Jalen Hurts takes.
If I could
and all
speak
of a
for
sudden-
Stugotz,
It's just such an easy and obvious thing.
he just thinks that Mahomes has something to prove. That he gets
Well,
there,
win a
but
second
he's kind of,
Super Bowl, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like he's been crowned this thing, but he hasn't gotten that second one yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So much so that I believe that he said, and I don't want to misquote you, guys, I never want to. I believe that you
Thank you,
said
Bill.
Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid were on the second hottest seat headed into the playoffs.
Yes, I believe that. I believe, Mike, you agree 5 straight AFC Championship games, now 3 Super Bowls? You need to have a second Super Bowl, don't you, to
They
validate
could
the
get it
first?
this year.
They could get,
Okay,
if
but they
get it
might
here.
not, right.
I'm not taking anything away from them. I think in 2 of the AFC championships that they lost, Patrick Mahomes didn't touch the ball, right?
Yeah. I'm still not going there.
Aaron Rodgers never got his second, by the way. And
Wait,
we
no.
still anointed him.
By the way, Aaron
No,
Rodgers,
no.
who
I've
like,
never anointed Aaron
No, wait.
Rodgers.
Did
I've
Patrick
never
Mahomes
talked
say-
about Aaron Rodgers being one of the all-time great quarterbacks.
Hold on a
He's
second.
talented,
You-
but I've never
wait,
said
You've
that.
said you've given
Tread
Aaron
lightly.
Rodgers his flowers.
I've said Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback I've ever seen. Joe Montana is second.
And where's
He's got 4 rings.
Aaron Rodgers?
Tread lightly.
Aaron Rodgers is down. Like, yo, you're right, Billy. This is happening. The Jets is what I mean. That's happening. It's happening.
Why are you getting excited about
Stugotz
it?
mean,
just
I
changed
have
his
to.
take mid-sentence.
Aaron Rodgers is the greatest quarterback in the history of football. He is. If he
Stugotz,
goes to the Jets.
What is
That
it
is
with
a first. That was
What
chef's
is it
kiss.
with Nathaniel Hackett is the avenue to Aaron Rodgers? It
I think
didn't happen in
He's
Denver.
DeAndre Jordan.
I think Patrick
But he didn't
Mahomes
go to
did touch
Denver.
the ball in last year's AFC Championship.
No, it is funny, though, if Aaron Rodgers does follow Hackett as the OC to the Jets after Hackett was hired without being, like, super qualified to be a head coach in Denver, and he didn't go there, and then they blew up their entire roster for the next 5 years trading for Russell Wilson, and now Denver is, like, in a terrible spot where they want to hire Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh maybe wants to stay at Michigan. They don't know what the hell they're doing. They've got this awful cap situation, and now Aaron Rodgers goes to the Jets. Like, Denver must be livid.
Are we going to get a third press release that tells us that Jim Harbaugh is Michigan for life
Dude,
this
what?
offseason?
Did you see they flew to Ann Arbor? So he's put out 2 press releases, and the president of Michigan's put out multiple statements saying that he's going to coach next year, or at least like he enthusiastically expects to be the coach next year.
Right.
And then there was a report yesterday from someone at NFL Network that Denver flew to Ann Arbor to meet with him yesterday, even though he's still technically committed to coach at Michigan.
Still enthusiastically
They're really
committed.
interested in hiring him. Why are they flying all the way to Michigan to interview him again?
Right.
Apparently they haven't made an offer yet, but he's announced twice that he's coming back.
Yes.
Or he thinks he's coming back.
Right. So after
What's
2 of
going
those
on
press
there?
releases, he's still taking meetings.
Right.
So there is a chance we get a third press release.
I hope we do.
Yeah.
I hope
And
we
a
get
third
like
raise
15.
from Michigan.
Yeah, that is what's going on here.
I hope we get a press release a week until the season starts, and then he's either on the sideline or he's not. He might show up at Denver, and we just find out that way. He's in an orange cap all of a sudden.
What the hell's going on with coaching hires in the NFL? Like, it's super weird, right? Yesterday, I don't know if you guys saw, like, Sean Payton was on the pregame show on Fox, and they were like, he seemed uncomfortable. Like, they were asking him, so, Coach, not going the way you thought it was going to go, huh? Like, it's still interest there? And he's like, oh, there's still, interest going on. I'm not going to rule anything. It was super awkward. Yeah, because they were, like, asking what's going on. He's like, I'm not saying that nothing's going on. Things still may be going on. There's still coaching opportunities available, but it's not going out the way that these big name coaches thought it would. I don't
he'd
think.
been navigating it pretty well. I'd seen him interviewed by Colin, and he knows how to handle that situation. But I guess something happened recently. I didn't see what you were mentioning, but
probably the compensation, right? It's
the draft picks. It gotta
right. You got to trade for Sean Payton, and
Yeah.
so like a team has got to decide they want to pay him $15 million a year and trade some crazy amount of money for him.
May I ask the Jets fan?
Yes.
Are you excited about the Nathaniel Hackett hire?
If it gets me Aaron Rodgers, yes.
Right.
If
What?
it doesn't, I don't care. I mean,
Why do
what?
everyone attributed Nathaniel Hackett to that offense? That was LaFleur's system. They looked just like Tennessee looked.
Yeah, but we know Rodgers likes Hackett, and so he's a fan of Hackett's.
Do we know if
I
Aaron
mean,
Rodgers
Aaron
we,
said
we,
he-
we do know that. It's been reported
Yes.
that him
that he
and
likes Nathaniel
Very
Hackett?
Oh, he
close,
said
yes.
he loves. Like, it was
Right.
Nathaniel
more than
Hackett's
just
a
like.
nice guy. He seems easy to like. He's very easy to connect to, but it's just so we think that because Hackett is there, this means Aaron Rodgers is there.
I don't think it's just Hackett. I think it's the combination of Hackett and if you're a quarterback looking to win a Super Bowl late in your career, why would you not choose the Jets?
Yeah.
Like you said it too. You
They're
were with
very
me all
talented.
year. You
Yeah.
said they're very talented. They
Super.
lost Brees Hall. Joe Douglas appears to be pretty good at what he does, except when he's drafting quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And so why not Aaron Rodgers? Like, why wouldn't that be a destination for him if he's looking to try to win a Super Bowl in the final couple of years? The defense is really good. The running game is really good. They have decent wide receivers. The offensive line is okay. And he's got a relationship with Hackett. So you combine all that and you say, hey, why not?
Yeah,
Well, the answer is because it's the Jets.
Well, it's just being excited about Nathaniel Hackett. I get it because it gives you a path to an obvious quarterback upgrade. Even though he's tailing off a little bit, Aaron Rodgers is still very clearly better than any of the options that you have over there is just I never understood. What can you tell me about Nathaniel Hackett's offense? I know that he could
Nothing.
I know that he could execute LaFleur's vision, but that's not his offense. That's not the Nathaniel Hackett offense. He didn't create that playbook.
Yeah, but if he's a guy that makes Aaron Rodgers comfortable going to that shitty organization, I'm all for it.
No, I get it.
You know?
I get
Like,
the
hey, it's good enough
excitement.
for Hackett. It's good enough for me.
No, you
and
have
I
a team-
trust Hackett.
You have a team that's Super Bowl talented if you have a quarterback.
If we have Aaron Rodgers, right?
Well, it
Aaron
depends.
Ro-
How good is Aaron Rodgers? Because you just told us he was mid-tier, and now all of a sudden he's the best quarterback
Mid-tier
ever.
all time is, like
But also, like, you're in the AFC with the Chiefs, with the Bengals, and with the Bills.
You're in the division with the Bills
Like-
and the Dolphins.
Right.
why would
like-
Rodgers go there?
No, I think
And
if you're
Belichick.
if you're a great quarterback, you should want to go to the NFC right now. It's kind of like how
San Francisco?
NBA superstars should have wanted to go to the East for a while. And now that the East is stacked, it seems like going to the West might be the smart play at this point. But and it's the same with analyzing any of these teams. You make big sweeping, bits of analysis around this guy hasn't won a Super Bowl, that guy hasn't done this, that the Chiefs have lost in 4 of their last 5 AFC Championship games, some of them at home, and it's like they're playing incredible teams. It's not some huge slight that Patrick Mahomes doesn't win every year. It's really hard to win every year. And so the Jets, yes, it gives you a great chance, and that'll be, you go into the season with hope and expectation, but like I don't think they're like, you say that they're a Super Bowl contender. I think they'd have to make a step from where they were last year for me to feel like.
But Rodgers would provide that step, would he not? Chris, how can you say no?
They need something beyond that. Aaron Rodgers has not gotten to the Super Bowl since, 2012?
I know, but he's 39 years old. You think Rodgers is sweating Joe Burrow or sweating?
He should.
Yeah, but on the right team, don't you think he thinks he could beat those guys?
But the rest of that Jets roster is better than the Packers roster's been the last few years.
It's an upgrade roster.
That's a good roster.
I'll give you that. But we also
But
don't know.
easier conference. That's what he's saying.
But we
That's
don't know.
fair.
The Jets went into Lambeau and beat them.
But we also don't know what exchanges the Jets will have to make to afford Aaron Rodgers' salary and his cap hit.
Right.
Because that trade is going to be difficult to pull off with Aaron Rodgers' contract status.
Yeah, but
And
the talent on the Jets is all young. They got like Sauce Gardner, their wide receivers, their running backs. They're all on rookie deals.
Would you have them as a tier 1 candidate in the AFC if they traded for Aaron Rodgers?
They'd be one of the favorites, I guarantee
If I'm
you.
identifying spots to land, I would prioritize New York. If my goal were to win right now, because I think that roster with me, Aaron Rodgers, big cap number, they have the perfect elements on that roster, so I can still get my money, and all their pieces are talented on good favorable contracts.
As a Dolphins fan, Whitty, you would be more afraid of the Jets if they add Rodgers.
I would feel like with healthy Tua, I'm on the same level as the Jets.
But we were better than them last year. I felt with Zach Wilson as their quarterback and Joe Flacco, I don't care how great that.
We played 2 bizarre games.
But I'm just saying,
but yeah.
I don't care how with
Right.
with those
At this
quarterbacks. I don't
moment in
care how
time-
good their defense is. And with
Yes.
Rodgers, now everything looks
Right, yeah.
better.
It's all of a sudden becomes a really difficult division. No question. But I just don't I think that the current favorites in the AFC are stronger than even the Jets with Aaron Rodgers.
But where would you go in the NFC? I mean, besides, I know, but Brady's going there. I mean, that's obvious.
Well, the Brady San
Green
Francisco
Bay?
thing.
You just stay in Green Bay.
That's not working out.
You got Brady coming over to the NFC. I mean,
Brady's already in the NFC. And
no,
he's quarterbacking a
but
truly
now he's
awful
going to
team.
San Francisco. I mean, I'd go to the AFC. I don't know.
I don't
You
know
got
why
Jalen
Brady-
Hurts.
Brady might
you
be
know,
going to the Raiders.
Why wouldn't
Isn't that
Brady
the
just
rumor?
stay right where he is? He
No.
just made the playoffs at 8 and 9.
San Francisco.
Florio seems to be teasing that it's San Francisco.
Be a great way
I've
to
heard
end.
Vegas,
or
but
start.
Why would you be in the same division as Herbert? But again, why am I doing this? It's Tom Brady. I don't think he sweats it.
No, he doesn't. He's not sweating
Yeah,
anybody.
I don't-
Just
I don't-
as like I don't like
He
you're
can't
right.
sweat anymore.
I don't think
The pores have been clogged.
I don't think that Aaron Rodgers would sweat the favorites in the AFC. I just think that I think we're overestimating the Jets on the basis of the season that they've had. And yes, they have legitimate talent and their defense was great, but they need Breece Hall to get back to 100% if that's the team that we're going to talk about.
If they had Breece Hall,
If they had
last
Breece Hall,
year.
they probably would have made the playoffs.
Yeah.
They were 7-10 with Zach Wilson. I mean, and Mike
And
White.
yeah, I understand.
And Joe Flacco.
They've got a good roster. I will give you that. I just don't think that they're I don't think they're just a quarterback away.
But they think that.
And more power to them. Joe
Right.
Douglas feels confident in the team that he's built, and Robert Saleh feels like he can get there with a new offensive coordinator and a new quarterback. But I think they're more than that away.
Do you think that you upgraded at offensive coordinator over Mike LaFleur?
If it gets me Aaron Rodgers, yes.
Okay, that's the only. That's
it's
the only. Path.
It's the only path.
Because
Mike.
McVay is pouncing on Mike LaFleur.
I know, and that makes me nervous.
Hackett came from Matt LaFleur's system. It's just
it makes me nervous.
Don't you want to work with McVay when he does that song and dance every year? Well, maybe I'm going to quit this year. Maybe
Mike LaFleur might be the next head coach of the Rams.
Yeah, he's a king.
He hired his replacement.
It is such a Gruden move. We learned this. They have the same agent.
Mm-hmm.
McVay is not going anywhere. He's just trying to get more money.
But to answer
It's
the
Harbaugh.
question, like, would you want to go there because of the song and dance? Absolutely, I'd want to go there because everybody that goes and works with Sean McVay, from Zach Taylor to O'Connell, and he is a king-making coach. You go there, your profile elevates. So I'd be a little concerned that McVay seizes on Mike LaFleur being available, and he's like, I can do something with that guy.
I'm amazed through all of this with all the coaching changes. The one that completely passed me by until I read it this morning. Do you guys know what Dallas's plan is for offensive play calling next year? It's not to replace Kellen Moore. It's for Mike McCarthy to call the plays.
I love it.
Mike, your look of disgust right now.
No, I love it. I do.
They're not replacing Kellen Moore with a different offensive coordinator.
Everyone just yelled a different kind of yell at the same time back here. It was amazing.
And
It was just
Jerry
a lot
Jones
of,
was
grunts.
okay with this?
It seems like it.
They thought that, man, Kellen Moore ain't the problem there.
Well, it's not Mike McCarthy, is it? Are you saying it's McCarthy?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think Mike McCarthy is a good coach. I liked him. I like Mike McCarthy with a kicker that he couldn't trust. That Mike McCarthy was a good coach. I will say that I think that Mike McCarthy has improved in the intestinal fortitude department. He is gutsier going for it, but that's just the way that the NFL went. My problem with Mike McCarthy is he was hesitant to do that when he had the best team.
How wild is it that Andy Reid went for it 4th and 1 at his own 34, and we haven't discussed it today? It's just so
That's what you
par.
do.
It's so par for the course now that
Because it got negated by the most cowardly punt of the season in the fourth quarter.
that's fair, but still, like
It
those
was 4th and 12 when he
It was
punted?
99.9% on the surrender punt.
On the surrender index?
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
I was a little surprised.
I was yelling at my TV when I saw it. It didn't end up mattering that much, but
still 4th and 1 at your own 34, and you don't hear the announcer going, "Whoa, oh, this is risky. What are they doing here?" Like our attitudes have changed about 4th down.
Yeah.
As like the coaching community finally got there, the TV analysts have mostly gotten there, although every once in a while you hear Troy Aikman go, they should take the points. Yeah. But for the most part, our attitudes about 4th down have changed.
Stugotz, you remember the show that we did after that Sunday night game where Bill Belichick had the lead and went for it
against the Colts
in his own territory because he didn't want Peyton Manning.
Yeah,
we did weeks of shows.
We did
on that.
Well, they didn't convert it. They ended up losing the game, right?
Right. They lost.
And everyone
the game.
blasted Belichick for doing it.
Right, but.
Weeks of shows.
That was 10 years ago.
It was so shocking to see. I know, but at the time, it was a shock to see.
It wasn't even that they failed it, honestly. You had the result in hand, but it was like a spaceship landed.
Yes.
Was it Dan Quinn that tried to be that guy for a while in Atlanta? I feel like there was an Atlanta head coach that also was like trying to be go forward on 4th down guy and like put his fingers on that stove and got burned. Brandon Staley has put his fingers on that stove and got right. Yeah. Well, Ron Rivera in a good way.
Yeah.
But there have been a few.
He had no choice, Rivera, when he started doing it.
But
he was very close to the vest and felt like he was losing his job.
That was always why everyone should do it.
But you look back on what he got credit for. He's like, okay, I'm going to run a 4th and 1 with like one of the greatest athletes, an unstoppable short yardage weapon the sport has ever seen.
Right.
Just like leap over the offensive line or power your way through the offensive line or burrow underneath the offensive line.
In my lifetime, I've never seen a better goal line weapon than Cam
Lusaka Polite.
Wow. But are you happy because the NFL has arrived in a place where they do go for it on 4th down and it's barely a talking point the next day?
I think it should
because you should go for it in that spot.
It should be recognized. Well, 4th and 1 of your own 34.
Yeah.
When before the last 2 years has that ever been something that anyone has gone for? That's always been a punt. for as long as I've watched football. Always.
I feel like more and more I'm seeing coaches do it, whether
Correct,
it's
but that's
Staley
a recent
or
phenomenon, and I do think it should be acknowledged more as, well, the analytics community won. New age thinking won. And now even Andy Reid, even Mike McCarthy, even coaches that have been in the game for 40 years.
No. We can't let the nerds win. We can't let them win.
The nerds have won.
We have to rebrand this. This isn't the nerds winning. This is more offense. Yeah.
This is more physicality.
Yeah.
This is men making big stones, big balls on those
There we
decisions.
go.
Yeah, working a real
Men
estate
have become
acquisition.
more manly.
Yeah, it's a game of real estate acquisition.
The fourth downification of America.
See you, Gary.